Hello everyone! So today I want to talk to you about 6 DIY recipes to use for cleaning and deodorizing around your home. I know that not everyone is into DIY things, but I chose things that take literally 5 to 10 minutes with simple ingredients that you have around your home in addition to your essential oils. Many of the oils I'm going to use even come in your starter kit or are very inexpensive. And even if you're not into DIYs, I think that there is at least 1 or 2 things in this video that you'll be interested in. So I am going to talk about a pet stain and odor remover, a bathroom and toilet spray, cleaning fizz tablets that are really good to use in like your toilet or your sink, garbage disposal cleaning tablets, and a foot or shoe spray or powder. And lastly, I'm going to show you a recipe for a carpet and furniture sprinkle, and I have talked about that before, but I'm going to include a hack about how to use empty essential oil bottles with it. So let's go ahead and get started with the video. Okay, so the first recipe I'm making today is the pet stain and odor remover. So in a mason jar, I'm starting with 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, and then 1 cup of water, and then it takes 1 teaspoon of salt, and then I did 15 drops of lemon essential oil, 5 drops of eucalyptus essential oil, and 5 drops of purification. And then I'm just going to mix it in the mason jar. If the stain is dried on, then you should use baking soda and let it sit for 24 hours to soak it up. If the stain is not dried on, then you can just use this mixture on its own and it should take care of the stain and odor. The next thing I'm going to make is this bathroom spray, which is good to use to spray actually in your toilet before going to trap the odor, or to spray around your bathroom to freshen it. But it has 2 tablespoons of vegetable glycerin, and then it has 3 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol. And these might seem like really odd ingredients to start with, but the glycerin and rubbing alcohol actually act as stabilizers to help the essential oils and water mix when spraying it. So then I'm doing 1 teaspoon of thieves cleaner, and then this mixture does take 30 to 40 drops of essential oil. So I personally chose to do a mixture of purification and orange. And then I did peppermint, but you can do whichever mixture of oils you want. And then I just took a funnel to fill the rest of the mixture with distilled water. And it's ready to spray in your bathroom, and I label it with this label maker I got on Amazon for $8. And that way when guests come over, or because I have several spray bottles, I know which one is which and they know what to use it for. Next, I made Thieves Cleaning Fizzies, which are great to use for cleaning the toilet, cleaning your sink, or putting in small containers like water bottles with small necks that are difficult to actually get into. But I'm doing 1 cup of baking soda, 1/2 cup of citric acid, 1/2 cup of cornstarch, 3 tablespoons of water, and then it's going to take 1 teaspoon of thieves cleaner. And then this mixture also takes 40 drops of essential oil. And as you'll see, it does kind of start to react because citric acid and baking soda does react together. That's why I've done a video about how to use these 2 together to actually clean your bathtub. I'll link that video down below. But I chose to do lemon in this mixture. And as I said, this mixture does react. So as you can see, when I was putting it in molds, I was actually kind of struggling with it foaming up, and I realized that what I needed to do was to actually after making the mixture, put a lid on it and let it sit and stabilize for an hour. And then after I figured that out, I took all this mixture out, put it in another container, let it sit for an hour. It did its thing, and then I came back and it was done reacting to each other, and I was able to actually put it in molds, and then you let it set for 24 hours. And then as you can see, after 24 hours, I put it in a mason jar and labeled it. Next, I made garbage disposal fresheners, and these are obviously just good for garbage disposals. So it's going to be a mixture of 1 cup of baking soda, and I'm actually doubling the recipe, so you'll see me do double, but it's 1 cup of baking soda, 3/4 cup of Castile soap, which you can find at pretty much any grocery store, and then it's 1/2 cup of salt to 30 drops of essential oil, and then 1/4 cup of water. And luckily with this reaction, with this mixture, there's no citric acid, so it doesn't react, so you're able to just stir it and put it into molds right away. But with this particular one, I tried to use really intricate molds with like a lot of little side details, like a snowman with a hat and seashells with just details that it didn't really keep the details in the molds very well, even after letting it sit for 24 hours. So personally, the next time I do this, I would use less intricate molds, like just really simple circular or square molds, or you can just use an ice cube tray, or you could just honestly roll them into balls and just let them set for 24 hours on like aluminum foil. But you'll see here how some of the seashells have like really in-depth corners, and I also think that this mold was a little bit too big for the garbage disposal fresheners. So I would do that differently next time. So luckily I did this before you to tell you the better way to do it. But when you run these through your garbage disposal, you want to use cold water with 1 of the fresheners, or a few of them if you use really small ones. And then you want to run it with cold water for an entire minute. And some other tips to prevent odor is, first, you're always supposed to use cold water on your garbage disposal, because hot water can melt the grease in your garbage disposal and actually cause clogs, which obviously smell bad. And then also another tip is that you're actually supposed to run your garbage disposal for longer than you think. So when you put food through your garbage disposal, a lot of times you run it for a few seconds, but that's actually not sufficient. You need to run it for at least 30 seconds to really break up the small particles and make sure that they completely break down and go away instead of just sitting there in your garbage disposal. So after 24 hours, I let these sit and I put them in a mason jar and labeled them, and I'm really excited to use those. Next, I made a shoe spray, which is good for any kind of shoe odor, inside or out. So it's 2 ounces of witch hazel to 30 to 40 drops of essential oil. I did purification and eucalyptus. And then I also did peppermint, and I did about 10 drops of each. So I only did like 30 drops of essential oil total in this. And then again, like the other spray, you just are going to fill the rest of the bottle with distilled water. Oh, and I also did lemon. Sorry about that. So this mixture is a lot easier than the other one, but you want to spray your shoes when you're not wearing them enough to where they are a little bit damp, but not completely soaking wet. And then, of course, I just used my label maker to label this for shoes. And then I keep it over by my shoes and spray them when I take them off. Another alternative to this is actually the shoe powder. And this is good to actually use while you're wearing your shoes to keep your feet dry and odorless. So it is 1/4 cup of baking soda, 1/4 cup of arrowroot powder to 15 drops of essential oil. But I actually wanted to fill this whole mason jar, so I doubled the recipe and did 1/2 cup of baking soda to 1/2 cup of arrowroot powder to 15 drops of essential oil. And if you didn't know, me and my husband actually work at Chick-fil-A, so not everyone probably needs this shoe spray and everything, but for some of us, even if you don't have naturally smelly feet, if you work at like a fast food restaurant or any sort of work environment where your shoes are going to get gross and dirty, this is a great mixture to have on hand. And then, of course, again, I just shook it up to mix in the essential oils and labeled it with my shoes label so I know what it's for. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how I make my carpet and furniture sprinkle. Now, I have done an entire video about this, but it's so good I have to share it again. So you should just do 1 cup of baking soda to 15 drops of essential oil. You'll see I have a full mason jar here. And here is the tip. This is a great way to use empty essential oil bottles. So you'll see I have 2 5-milliliter bottles of purification that were actually empty. And instead of just throwing them away, in order to use every last drop, I took them apart, put them in the baking soda, and I'm going to shake it up. And the baking soda will soak up every last drop from the lid and the dropper and inside the bottle to really utilize everything. And then I label it baking soda and I sprinkle it on my furniture and my carpet, and then I leave it there for at least 10 minutes to soak up, and then I vacuum it up. Okay, so I hope that you got something out of this video. I hope that you saw at least one recipe or all of the recipes that you want to try out and use in your home. I really want to encourage you that there are very cheap, very easy ways to make natural remedies to your typical cleaners, including even some cleaners that aren't necessarily easy to find, like garbage disposal cleaners. So I really hope that you liked this, and I do plan on making another DIY video about personal care products like soap and bath salt and bath bombs and things like that. But I wanted this video to stay about cleaning and odor and things. So if you like DIY projects, stay tuned, and thanks for watching.